Saturday night. Weather's in TC on November 3rd. This is No Bull with Gregory Patrick. Not going to be holding too much back today. I hope you guys are ready for some metal. Have some fun. Talk about a few things that are going on. Because, yeah, there's a lot of nutty stuff going on, I gotta say. You know, I got a theory too, guys. There is something going on in America right now. And I just want to say this is my theory. This isn't reflecting upon MSP or any of the other DJs or anything else that's going on here. And I can guarantee you another thing, that the music does not either. Checked it myself. It doesn't reflect at all. It's an amazing thing. So, you know, but I'm seeing this weird stuff going on. And I want to say a few things about it. Yeah, we got a couple of people that are going nuts, and I think it's because they know their party is on the way out. And I just wanted to say a couple things about a few of the old parties. We've had at least 8 major political parties in this country go the way of the dodo. They are done. You know, it started off with the Federalist Party. You know, that's like the first party. This is the people that actually wanted a federal government instead of us just running around like yahoos and having our own mini countries all connected to each other. Because, you know, inevitably we did go to war. So they had a couple of good points as the Federalists. It certainly put the war off for, you know, at least 100 so years. But, you know, it was more popular in the Northeast. And, you know, it didn't really last more than about a decade because they kind of turned their back on the Northeast almost right away. There was called the Whiskey Rebellion, and pretty much put a damper on everybody's idea of federalism right out of the gate, guys. Because, yeah, people were trading whiskey, and it's sort of like crypto of the day. People were just brewing their own money in their backyards, and they weren't having a whole lot of fun trying to fund the army on whiskey. Didn't work out. Well, I'm sure it was a fun time for them, but, you know, it was one of those things, though. It's just, it soured their base almost right away, so they really didn't last very long at all. And that's going to happen a lot more. And there's a few more to talk about, too. There's the Democratic-Republican Party. Yes, at one point, they were together. You know, they really did. Instead of just a federal government, they were able to just pitch more of a give and take system, and that worked out pretty good. They gave the Federalists a run for their money and pretty much took them out. You know, but then came along the Democrats, and you know, that was really weird. You know, it sort of had a split right down the middle. The Democrats were first; they're the older party, and then right after that came the National Republican Party. So I don't know what to tell you guys. That is sort of the way it is. The newer party is the Republicans, just the way it goes. The National Republican Party, though, isn't really the Republican Party. It's just a little different. That was Henry Clay and Daniel Webster. And if you're from New England, half the stuff around here is named after him. But they favored, you know, a lot of protective tariffs, and they sort of became the Whig Party. And they joined up with another actual prominent party called the Anti-Masonic Party. Yeah, this was the independents. You know, we've had a 2-party system, but believe it or not, the third party was the Anti-Freemason Party. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Can't really argue with that. It's entrenched power. It's like deep state stuff going back to the 1800s, guys. You know. I'm getting somewhere with this, though, but I'm just telling you, it's amazing how often this kind of stuff happens. And you know, the Whig Party was fine too. Actually, I don't know. I think a lot of people, believe it or not, would probably vote for them now because they kind of just wanted to leave people alone for the most part. They really just paved roads and kind of left people be. It didn't really work out all that well for them, though, because there's not a whole lot of passion. That's one of the things that, you know, libertarians struggle with. It's, you know, we all want to be left alone, so half the people don't even know when to come and show up to vote. So it sort of just dissolved in its own natural way. And it had a couple of other problems. It stood against some of the major issues at the time that, you know, they were on the wrong side of history, so to speak. But there's a few other ones that were actually prominent. You know, the Native American Party, you know, which is not probably what you think. It absolutely isn't what you think, I can almost guarantee you. It's also known as the Know-Nothings, and they ran on a promise to purify the nation by cracking down on immigration and naturalizing the Roman Catholic immigrants, which is fantastic. So none of the things under the sun are new. Nothing. It's all the same shit, different day, guys. I just want everybody to go through it, though. But we've had plenty of them. There's the Constitutional Union Party. Just seems like an oxymoron to me. The Reform Party, and this just goes on and on. Now, if you look at all of the parties that are existing, it really will blow your mind, because, like, it seems like Hawaii, for instance, has their own political party for every election cycle. I'm pretty amazed by it. But, you know, you do have to check it out, because it's not the worst thing in the world. Yes. Well, we got a couple of people in the audience. We got Patient Zero, Ron Don, Global Cop. Go down. We got Aggroed. We got a ton of people. If you want a shout out, just throw something in the Discord chat that we have running. And we're running on VimTV, MSP.com. There's just all sorts of fun ways to listen to us if you're out there. But yeah, Albert Pike, he was one of the Freemasons, and he was part of those parties. And yeah, it basically meant that it's elitism to an extent that it's hard to describe. You're literally not in the club, you know, and you're not getting in the club. It's funny when you go to actually get into the Freemasons. Everybody gets a black or a white stone, and then they have a box, and you can secretly put a black or a white stone in. If you get all the white stones, you're in. If you get one single black stone, you're not in the club. And if you want a political system based on that, I don't know, man. There's a couple out there. I think if you go to, like, Heart of Africa, you might find a few that are running on that, but it doesn't seem like the greatest system, you know, to me. But yeah, you know, parties basically built on keeping the Irish out. That's absolutely true. You know, I could put in some signs that, you know, Irish need not apply. That was part of these dead parties' platforms. Didn't really work for them. I'm just telling you. Because name is Gregory Patrick, if you hadn't noticed, so they didn't keep us out. Sorry, didn't work, you know? And, you know, just future disclosure, too. I don't know, man. You know, you let a bunch of Irish people in, we start marrying Mexicans, and then, you know, that's what you get. Sorry. Welcome to America if you don't like it, pal. So, I don't know. We're seeing a lot of parallels, a lot of weird parallels to this, and I'm bringing it up because it's not the worst thing for a party to die, guys. It just isn't. But I'm talking about all this because I see the Democrats literally having fits because they're in their death throes, it seems to me. This is a political theory. Again, it's just a prediction that they're not going to be around all that much longer, you know, because if they can't clean up their act, man, they're not going to get supports from independents like me. That is just a fact. I want nothing to do with some of the nutty stuff they have going on. I don't know about you, but they are they're getting their asses kicked, guys. I mean, some polls are saying they're going to do fine in the places they always do fine, and I don't see any surprises though. But I'm not going to go and mourn too much, man. I'm going to play Pantera instead. You know. Alrighty, so we had some Pantera, Cemetery Gates, and yeah, man. You know, I don't want to tell everybody that the Democrats are dying and you should maybe go and spit on their grave. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's not the end of the world because there's a lot of other options. There's a ton. And, you know, libertarians is where I come from. That's what it's all about. And one of the most famous ones, well, currently, is Gary Johnson. And, you know, he is the media's clown. It is unfair and unrealistic to see this guy getting any real high office. But he's out from New Mexico right now. And got to look into him because a lot of people don't know what the libertarians are all about. Some of them think we're just Republicans in sheep's clothing or something like that. But as far as progressive values goes, we're the type of people that don't want to know. We don't care. Like, you can do whatever you want around a libertarian. You can live whatever lifestyle you want. We'll never, ever bother you about it. As long as you're not hurting anybody and everybody who's involved is an adult or, you know, what have you, we're not going to tell you what to do. The difference between us and some of other progressive parties is we're not going to put a law on the books telling people what to do either. And that's what it boils down to me, because I would love to be able to support the liberals, but I just don't trust them, honestly. I can't tell you that they're going to tell you the truth at all. We're going to get into Project Veritas in the next segment. And it is an amazing thing. But, you know, Gary Johnson, he rolls with it. Like, that Aleppo thing is going to haunt him, and it probably should. To me, we should talk about it, and it doesn't reflect poorly on Gary Johnson, because he was being an honest person. He would have acted just the way I would have if they were just one after the other gotcha questions that are always trying to put him in a corner and make him looking like a joke, and he has to roll with it because otherwise he just gets pissed off. Because a guy like me might just get pissed off too. I not be able to be as nice as Mr. Johnson about those kinds of things. But yeah, there's a lot of interviews. Like if you what I would hope everybody does is they can go check out Reason TV on YouTube or something like that, because the libertarians are out there. They are an independent voice, and we won't bother people. We really don't care. That's the fun part about it. It's just when it comes to putting a law in the book that says, you have to address people a certain way like they did in Canada, we're going to side more with the Jordan Peterson crowd, because it's just like, look, just don't tell people what to think. Don't tell people how to talk. We can't do anything with the Newspeak and all the 1984 stuff. It just isn't working out. And I'm going to bring up why the Democrats are dying. And it isn't because they want people to be free. It's because they can't tell the truth to save their own lives. They are getting bagged for it. They are really dishonest. And it's a real shame because, if they believed in the values they did even in, I don't know, 2 generations ago, I probably would have no problem calling myself a liberal instead of a libertarian, because on those things, like on those ideals, we really share the exact same values. Now, when it comes to the government owning all the land, you might be a lot better off looking at a Green Party candidate. Now, the Green Party, just because I'm not one of them doesn't mean I'm going to, throw shade on them. They actually, to me, I don't know, they seem to be the mirror side of the Libertarian Party. We're the yellows, they're the greens, and if you're not in it from America, the blues are the left wing around here. And when I talk to a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, there's the party that likes the strippers, and there's the party that wants to ban the strippers, right? And it's like, no, at this point in America, just about everybody likes strippers. I don't know what to tell you. There's no real moral value anymore. And I really do feel like the left, the far left especially, is kind of creating a false sense of morality when they just basically just do nutty stuff. They want to make it so the only reason you're voting for them is because if you don't, you're a bad person. They don't really going to tell you how things are going to work out. And if you look at the economy and the effect that all the ridiculous and over-the-top regulations and bureaucracy, yes, I'm sorry, we got Ancapolo, and no moral value in the United States. If I watch TV with my kids, I'm losing my mind because it's just so nuts. And yeah, I don't know. It just seems that way. It seems like primetime television is nuts around here. So it isn't about, like, the conservatives too. Like, they have a bad rap. It's really interesting. I'm not going to defend the conservatives too much, but if you look at all the censorship stuff that we grew up with, if you're a child of the 80s or the 90s and you're coming to be, if you're even in your 40s, you saw it actively, like the government putting labels on your CDs so you couldn't buy them at Walmart and things like that. Now, that really wasn't conservative Republicans. That was, Joseph Lieberman, who's a Democrat. That was Tipper Gore. This is, and Al Gore's wife was involved too. We're not talking about Republicans even. Like, this was a Democrat thing with all the censorship. And I don't understand what happened, but things got pretty flipped. So the conservatives want to conserve the Constitution. They're not quite the constitutional party because, they do want to tell you what medicine you can take and how to raise your kids, and they are just as bad as any of the other mainstream parties. But I'm really not in favor of regulating social behavior in any way. I could tell you that right now. And I have a problem with Republicans on that respect, because when I read Republican newspapers, I get frustrated because, like, the front page, like the fun story that's supposed to catch your eye and make you buy the thing is a cop went into a park and arrested 2 people for having a beer. He's awesome, huh? It's so great. It's so cool. It's like, no, dude, that's a horrible. What are you talking about? The dude was having a beer in the park and you ruined his life and everyone's happy? What is going on? But that's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't really, the Republicans don't want to, there's the Christian element, and they don't have power anymore. And I can tell you what, you could see when they lost power because they were in the streets. This is what I'm trying to say. All those warning labels for CDs and stuff, they were pushed by the Christian right, but they were passed by Democrats. Joseph Lieberman's a Democrat. He's certainly not a Christian either. I'm just telling you, this is just the way it is. And if you want to look at what happened, and it's the same thing right now, when the Christian right lost power in the party when we were younger, they were all in the streets protesting Marilyn Manson concerts. And that pretty much drove me to listen to metal. I can tell you that, because it's like, what are these idiots with these signs yelling about? I'm going to do the opposite of what those assholes are telling me to do, And so in a visual sense, you can still see, like the Westboro Baptist Church or something like that, picketing and acting like buffoons. But they're doing it for publicity. They're not in the death throes of power, So you can see that happening. I mean, there was a time when the Christian right had power, but it hasn't been in my lifetime. I can guarantee you that. It really hasn't. It's just not the way of it. Even Reagan was not like a hardcore Christian conservative, I can guarantee you. Like this, he was the one that legalized divorce on a whim, for instance. It's just not what we think. And I don't know what else to say. It's part of history, and I'm going to get into what's going on with Project Veritas next, man, but my biggest problem with the Democrats is they're lying. They really are lying, and they're lying about important stuff, guys. Like, for instance, McCaskill out there is lying about her gun control policies. Now, I'm not going to want to debate whether you want gun control or not, but if you're in a place where people's livelihood depends on them being able to hunt on their own land, and they're not allowed to have rifles to do so, well, they're going to either have to rearrange their entire way of life, or they're going to have to get food from the government somehow. They're not going to be able to live the way they want to. So when someone's lying about those types of things, it really bothers me, because it does harm. And since we have a federalist system, we have a republic, she doesn't have to do that to those people. She doesn't have to mess up Missouri. She doesn't have to do these things. She could just move to a different state. She doesn't have to change but they believe in force more than anything, and we're seeing it more and more. But I'll show you guys a few examples if you want. But this is a metal show, so we're gonna play some metal, man. This is Darkane. So yeah, that was Darkane, Layers of Lies, and they've been. There's a lot of lies going around, guys. And again, I want to let everybody know, I think every politician's lying. I don't think Gary Johnson's a liar, but that's why he never gets elected. So this is politics, And I put the Project Veritas in there. You really, really should check it out. And, the only people that are truly bitter about being exposed by these guys are the ones caught with their pants down, And I can absolutely tell you that not everybody who has been filmed by them undercover is mad at them about what they're doing. Some of us are actually thrilled about it, and we're telling everybody to go check it out because we listen and we try to do our best. But I do have an important MSP announcement, and this is something this is pretty earth-shattering, so everybody strap in. But we got Rondon calling out Global Cop. They're going to debate Trump. I don't know. We're going to see where and where. I don't know if they're going to be able to wait till a formal event. But so I'm just looking who's on whose side. That's the real question. Where's the line? I want the red line in the middle of the floor. But if you guys aren't on our Discord chat, you got to check it out. The best sound quality is over on MSP.com, and we're all over the place too. So we're taking over the airways every day, getting going. But tell you the truth, like the libertarians are great. They're fine. They don't hold a lot of power, guys, and they really should. It'd be nice to have them in power because they actually are pretty honest people, and they won't bother people. They're not going to fund the world, though. I think. Because we can get some of the people on the left by going, we are the anti-war party, like way more so than the Democrats. That we did not want, Ron Paul did not vote to put a single boot on the soil of any foreign country ever. And the dude was around for as long as can be. So we are the anti-war party, and that's all fun and games. And then it's like, yeah, we're also cutting off food stamps. And everyone goes, what? No, you can't do that. It's like, well, we can't bully all the other countries in the world to keep the petrodollar going if we don't have the military, so we're going to have to cut the welfare state. Everyone goes, wait a minute, but I like the welfare state. So the libertarians kind of say, well, what do you like more? Do you like free food, or do you like the idea of blowing random people up in the Middle East on a daily basis? You get to pick. We're the guys that'll help make the rough decisions. You know, we're the cold-hearted guys. Like I said, we will make Republicans look dispassionate. We won't be the most compassionate. I'm not the most compassionate guy. I'm gonna be honest. You know, if you know, people come to me a lot for looking for resources. They always end up with a job. That's just the kind of guy I am. That's fine though. It's not the end of the world. I don't turn them away, but it's the way to do things. It really is to me. You know, and I don't know what this panic is on the Democrats, because, like I said, if they were good people, they would just go, okay, well, this was shady, you know, I got caught, and there's a couple of them that can put some distance between them and the person on, like Gilliam, he says that the guy that was undercover in Florida, he's running for governor, and this is a guy who is, the FBI is openly saying he's accepted multiple bribes, but he's saying that that's, you shouldn't say that because it hurts his feelings, I guess. So he's trying to sue his opponent for pointing out the FBI bribed him. It's really weird, and I don't even know where he's coming from. He's like in a dead heat down there. Florida is one of the craziest places for politics this year. You know, I got to try to get as many people I know on the air as much as I can who are watching it happen, because it's really polarized, really bad. And a lot of places are polarized really bad. And I think that when the Democrats are completely full of it, it doesn't help. And I'm not saying the Republicans are innocent. You know, like, everybody thought there was going to be a wall on the Mexican border by now. It's not like the Republicans deliver on their promises. But I think at the time they make the promises, they're you know, they know it's maybe possible. It's in the realm of reality. But when Democrats say you can keep your health care, and they full well know you can't, but they're going to pass a major health care bill anyway, it's force. It's force, force, force. There's no liberty in force. And I've talked to a few people, and I'm seeing, it seems like an oxymoron. I've seen people on, like, the communist left who are trying to say the only true way to liberty is to submit to the state. That doesn't make any sense to me. So it's sort of like a lot of the catchphrases. It's, you know, work will set you free, comrade. It's like, no, I don't think forced labor camps are the way to independence. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm going to have that explained to me. But I'm open to talking to people in long-form conversations about this kind of stuff. I really am. I have no problem with doing it, because I would love to have that fleshed out, because I don't know how communism and libertarians will ever work out. I just, the party that wants to never expand, never send troops, never do any of this stuff, never, you know, taxes go, as many taxes go away as possible, deregulation. I mean, I'm sorry if that's a problem, but, you know, I don't know if you've ever owned a business. It's really, really hard to be an entrepreneur. It just is. And I mean, and I'm talking to a guy who wants to be a farmer. I don't want the EPA coming by my house and measuring the ditch that I dug and then declaring it, you know, a national park. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just be able to, you know, have a creek where I want it. Things like that make sense to me. So I don't like anybody telling me what to do or anything like that, especially if they're not paying me. If they're going to take my money, definitely don't tell me what to do. But I'm going to play some Sabbath. To me, it's called Heaven and Hell, but Heaven and Hell, Heaven and Hell. This is Geo, you know. I always try to keep my Aussie separate, but I don't know, man. Alright, guys. That is Heaven and Hell by Heaven and Hell. And that's what they had to change them. They were Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio for a little while. And then Ozzy caught wind of that, and his lovely wife and her team of lawyers swooped in and made them change the name. And I actually think that's a good thing. That's fine. I don't really know what else to say. Because, I mean, Ozfest really was one of the best places to go when I was a teenager. Those festivals around here were just awesome. They were so fun. So I really couldn't hold any ill will against any of them, no matter what. It really didn't pan out like that. And eventually, it just all came together anyway. I don't know if you guys were able to catch any of those tours, if you guys are all about that. I just loved it so much that I would go to every single one every single year. But, you know, it's good to see Common Law. And, you know, we're talking, you know, in the chat, we're talking about a lot of the things that really, really are important. It's the type of policy debates that we should be having, you know, and instead we're not having these kinds of conversations on a national stage. I really wish we were, but we have all sorts of weird stuff, and I really just want to make it clear, like, I'm not taking specific sides, but I want to show you this stuff. It's just, it's something that I don't think a lot of people on the left see. And I'm not really trying to pick on you, but They think they're the party of nonviolence. They think they're the peaceful ones. They're not the hateful ones. But they're really filled with hate. And this is what I was getting at earlier. This is the death throw, you know? They're not doing well. They're kind of flipping out. Like Andrea Cortez here is a pretty good example, but the things that she's saying, I'm not even sure I can repeat them. It's you know, they're calling people who aren't them the names too. This is the fun part. It's if you're not with them, you are this. You know, it's sort of a totalitarian sort of aspect. If you're not an ultra leftist or on the progressive side, then you are a cold-hearted monster who repeatedly attacks everybody. You know, they want to send messages to bigots and billionaires and things like that. But God help me, you guys, you know, Wall Street gives to the Democrats. They always have. You know, the people that want regulations give to the Democrats for a reason. And they don't regulate because they want the world to be a better place. They're trying to get rules in place so there's barriers to entry for the people like me who would ordinarily do well until we meet a bureaucrat that says, oh, you need this license and you need this license. Oh, we're going to deny you this permit. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Oh, you have to pay for the sidewalk 6 times. It's like, you know, eventually, guys, I want to make money off the business I'm trying to run, and I don't need anyone calling me names for it. And these people won't stop calling people names and stirring up hate. You know, it's not okay to call everybody who disagrees with you a white supremacist and a xenophobe. And, you know, and again, like, if this whole thing with, you know, like, you know, people saying they're trying to erase the transgender families, I don't know. I mean, there's no law that I can think of that is going to stop anybody from having any family they want. You know, this is the thing about libertarians and Republicans. They're not going to put a law against you doing stuff. They're not going to put a law in the book saying we have to pay for it, though. That's the problem. It's like, you guys want to do whatever you want. We're fine with it. We're not going to bother anybody. But, you know, if you want to make it so, like, federal rules have to come in place, and now it changes the way that companies have to hire, it changes the way, you know, it forces people to do things. It doesn't even matter if it's a positive thing. You know, you could tell me that if I don't brush my teeth 3 times a day, I will have to pay a fine, and I will resent it quite a bit. Even if it's a good idea to brush my teeth 3 times a day, I don't like a gun being pointed at me by anybody to make me do it. I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't know if anybody should. But these, you know, it's not just her. It's not just the fringe too. On you know, we got Joe Biden, and he's over here. He's trying to be a Northeast tough guy. And I grew up in a union family. I heard this kind of talk my entire life. You know, but he's saying, you know, he wants to bring some, what do you call it, some pain. You know what I mean? He really does, and this is the thing. So he's quoting an opponent, you know, a Republican opponent. He made a comment about soybean farmers not having a high threshold for pain. So he says, well, I get the president of the trade union up here, and I'll show, you know, he'll show you the thresholds of pain. This is like stuff from like John Gotti. This is like weird bully tactics, you know, mafia stuff, and he talks like this, and I'm telling you, when growing up in Boston, all of the union guys talk like this. They were thugs, and when I owned a restaurant and a bar, like the music union would come by, like the musicians union would come by and say, hey, you know, you really should only hire union people. If you hire anybody that doesn't have a union card, it might not be good for your business. It's bully tactics, and it's like, okay, well, do you know any metal bands that are affiliated with you? And the answer is always no. It's like, so you're telling me that if I play the music I like, you're going to bother my business. This is union tactics, guys. And I don't really care about private unions, because private unions could just die if nobody wants to hire them. If they price themselves out of a market, they're gone. But public service unions, like the TSA, the DMV, all these people that have unionized, we have no recourse. It's not like we can stop shopping at the DMV. We have a gun to our head. So no, I don't approve of them unionizing. And no, I don't approve of them being thuggish about it. I'm not impressed by this old creepy dude, creepy Uncle Joe, talking tough. You know, it's just, you know, it's sad as hell. But you even have Obama going, you know, he's out there and he's trying to call everybody names. He's just whipping up hate. It's ridiculous. You know, I don't know what to say. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that these people are doing that. And I stand against everybody on the right doing it. I'm not taking sides. I'm just trying to let people know that there's, you know, hatred coming from both sides. And there's no moral party. There's no There's no, I vote for Democrats, so therefore I'm a good person. No, and it doesn't work like that. You can't say that even about a libertarian. It's like, I vote libertarian because I want to be left alone. You know, I can say a couple times over, there's two types of people: the type of people that want to be left alone, and the type of people that won't leave them the hell alone. You know, and I'm one of the people that can just, I'm fine. And again, too, you know, people will say, well, you're going to get old and you're going to get sick. And it's like, well, I also have 5 kids and I show them lots of love as much as I can. You know, it's hard to be all things. And I'll tell you, it just doesn't work out. But hopefully at least one of the 5 will throw me a bone and take care of me. And I won't really be looking for the state. Even then, I feel like there's a natural, you know, way life should have gone, and we're kind of throwing it away for what the state says. And you know, I'm a big proponent of family. I'm going to say family first. I think a lot of these communist ideas actually do work in a microscope. If you have the head of the household and a wife and a bunch of kids, well, sure, communism works real well, because again, you know, if somebody doesn't show up for work and do their chores, you can force them to. You know, you could. It's just like one of those things, they're your son or something. And eventually, though, they do grow up, and you can't force them to. And I'm not saying I advocate peaceful parenting, just so everybody knows. When I say force comes in many, many forms. Even if it's guilting somebody into voting a certain way, or giving away their resources, or throwing their money down the pit of bureaucracy because you're going to guilt them otherwise. You're going to make them feel like a bad person. That's aggression, guys. You know, it's sort of a female version of aggression, this spreading of rumors, this attack on character. That's why I'm kind of making fun of Joe Biden, because, like, it's not tough, dude. You're not tough. Like, all these union thugs never were tough. You know, they're just scummy, straight up. They're just scummy. You know, and if we're going to bag them on lying about their entire platform, and we could show that they're whipping up crowds for hatred reasons. And now, I mean, I'll probably do it on another show, but we'll show who's funding all these weird rallies too. And it isn't your friend. You know, none of these people are actually out looking for your interests. Like, the best a politician can do for me is leave me alone. I don't want him looking out for my interests. I want them to go away. Like, literally as many of them as I can, just as far away from me as possible. And I don't know. It's one of those things, guys. It's about self-reliance. A lot of people will tell me that not everybody can take care of themselves, and that's correct. You know, I'm not going to argue with that. But if you want me to help take care of them, don't do it by gunpoint. That's all I'm saying. Ask me nice. You might have better results. You know, honey instead of vinegar. That's a possibility. You could try it out. You know what I mean? But don't fall for any political party, guys. You know, I'm going to play some music right now, and it's from God, What an Awful Racket. You know, it's Battle Maximus, and, you know, it's Swallow the Sun. These guys aren't out to look out for us. Like, Cortez isn't going to make your life better, man. None of these people are. The best you can hope for is they leave you the hell alone. So, yeah, that's some GWAR, you know. GWAR, God, what an awful racket. That's a band that's all things to all people if you need them to be. They were one of the reasons I started watching people like Greg Gutfeld, because it blew my mind to see Odorous Urungus on, like, Red Eye. And I'll try to pull up a clip of that towards the end of the show, because it's just too funny. It's just too funny, and it makes me smile to this day. But you know, going through, we have a lot of good stuff in the chat, guys. I really appreciate the conversation. You know, we got Lanny Brockstein came through, and he's got some good ideas. He's got some really good ones. I like the idea of you know, tiny houses on wheels and being able to go up and move and do whatever you want. That's a fantastic thing, honestly. And, you know, one of the things that I'm still sort of considering it, because I'm living in a city. I can't stand it. And exactly what he said. It's about bad neighbors. We can't communicate. We don't speak the same language, and I'm not going to learn. It's Vietnamese and a few other ones that it's hard for me to wrap my head around reading it. It's not like Spanish where I can learn it, nor German or any of the other ones that are from Europe. I'm sorry. It makes it much more difficult when they don't even use the same alphabet. It becomes very difficult. And it's not that's not why the neighborhood's bad. The neighborhood's bad because people sort of gave up. You know, a lot of guys, like, they pretend to be homeless. They're on Social Security, and they sort of, or in Section 8, in every welfare program you can imagine. They're, you know, disabled or something. But they want to go to the corner and beg for money, because even after they get all the checks, they get all the food they can eat, they don't have enough for their booze. So they go and they literally beg for beer money, and they walk around stumbling in busy roads drunk constantly. And there's a lot of things I could say about the neighborhood, but freedom is important, and energy is the problem, though. The only thing with that is energy. My solution was actually just to do a houseboat. In America, we have the Mississippi River, and we have the Colorado, and we have a few other mega rivers. They're just huge, and you can literally just float. You still do need a place to dock, and that does require you to have, because eventually you have to be somewhere. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you could be completely self-sufficient, but I don't know. To me, I always wanted a place, to grow food, things like that. To be completely self-sufficient, I feel like I need at least a couple acres, just to have what I need. I want to grow trees, and that's the tricky part. We have Space Cash, and I'm up here in New England. Right now I'm in New Hampshire, and in the southern half of New Hampshire in Manchester, and from Boston though. And I've pretty much been in the city my whole life. But every chance I ever got, it was like, do you want to play baseball or do you want to join the Boy Scouts? It's like, I'll take the Boy Scouts. They're going to go out. They're going to get out of the city. They're going to go in the woods. They're going to have some fun. They're going to get into nature. They're going to get their hands dirty. They're going to do fun stuff. We're going to build a fire and play with Swiss Army knives. Like, I wanted to do that stuff. So it's always been the way it was. And it's always been like one of those feelings like, oh, I'm trapped in a place where, it's hard to survive too. I'm just telling you, like, most everybody has an EBT card. You'd be very surprised when I go to the grocery store, almost everybody has a food card because we're taxed into oblivion. They charge us $5,000 a year to live, the privilege to live in a neighborhood where we got, bums stumbling around drunk all the time. It gets, and of course too, I'm not even just going to complain about alcohol. I'll complain about all the opium. That's the real thing. When you take away people's reason to get out of bed, there's quite a bit, and it's a really great community, and the food's fantastic, and it's fun, it's nice. It's just, again, we had some what I thought was zucchini growing over the fence, this big long green zucchini thing. I cut it out and we go to cook it. We're gonna put it in some soup. Turns out it's this weird eggplant thing that just happened to be just giant green thing. It's like, oh yeah, I remember now. I from another planet. I guess it's not zucchini. I guess it's some weird Vietnamese eggplant. Probably delightful. If someone could tell me the recipe to use it, I would be in a much better spot. But I can't even look the stuff up because I'm just like, green thing, eggplant thing. Just fry it. I'm just gonna deep fry it all. That's all I can tell you. It's the best solution to the whole problem. Just throw it all in the fryer. But it's like I said, it's not that. It's just that makes things difficult, because when something's a problem, I can't get help. Like the other day, somebody was in serious trouble in the neighborhood. They were, driving around on serious drugs, and they passed out behind the wheel, almost crashed into someone's house. So, it took a while to get enough people who could help with the situation because the cops kept driving by. Nobody cared. The cops weren't going to help, That's why I'm a big proponent of self-reliance, because in my personal experience, when you need the state to be there to assist you, they're not going to. If anything, like, you call them for help and you're the one that's going to end up in chains somehow. So be very careful. They will help certain people in certain situations, I'm sure. But, it isn't a glorious thing. But, I shouldn't even say stuff like that without showing you what I'm talking about, because it is a little ridiculous. But I have a video of it, so I'll throw it in there. If you don't, like, I can't live in a neighborhood with people ODing all the time and stumbling around drunk, because this is what the socialism has brought here. This wasn't what it was like when I moved here. When we're talking only a dozen years. And it's a completely different place. And it was literally when Obama got elected and everyone decided that, okay, I guess I don't have to worry about anything ever again. I'm just going to have free healthcare and a free phone, and they're going to have free housing and free this. People stopped trying. They really did. They stopped trying. They all sat back and started sucking down tall boys, and nobody ever did anything correctly. And people like me are leaving. We're leaving, guys. That's the real kick in the nuts. We're not going to stick around for this. We're not. We're not going to watch this forever. It's brutal, So a few of us we're taking off. We are taking off. And it's kind of scary because it almost feels like people want to believe so much into what the Democrats have been saying for these so long. They're violently opposing reality. You know, they claim to be the science party, but they really don't care about most of the things that should be tested. They just take it as faith, you know, and they're developing their own little weird religion, and they're starting to believe in stuff that just freaks me out. I'll get into that in more detail. We could probably talk about some stuff that just, I don't believe it's true. I believe they're talking fantasy, and it's frightening because a guy like me isn't going to live in a fantasy land. I'm not gonna. I can't. It's like the book, The Emperor's New Clothes. When everyone's saying, "Oh, look at this fine fabric. It's so sheen. It's, you know, it's the perfect thing. It's like lightweight. It's like it's not there." It's like, well, yeah, it's because the dude's buck ass naked. Yeah, so, you know, unicorns and all that, whatever. It could be fun. But yeah, I'm one of those people. I gotta get out of this situation because, you know, that's fine if everybody wants to live the urban life. It's fine. Somebody should. I mean, somebody's gonna buy this place. But me personally, I don't know. So, you know, like I threw a video in just so you guys know I'm not really making up stuff. Stuff's too weird anyway, you know. But you know, that you saw a cop drive by, and I live in a city, so he could have swung around the block in less than 30 seconds. The dude never showed up. Never showed up. Like, the only reason I stopped taping is because, like I said, the guy had been checked on 600 times, and I was hoping somebody else would do it because I don't want to get stabbed by a junkie. But yeah, my wife and kids pulled up, and now I have my family in the situation as to where they were at the store when this started going on. You know what I mean? So yeah, now it's my fucking problem, isn't it? Because I don't want, you know, them getting stabbed by a junkie even more so. That's even worse, in my opinion, than me getting hit. So, yeah, man, it's just, I don't know how many people try to ask for help, but nobody helps. You know, at the end of the day, at the end of the story is a neighbor jumped out, got the guy out of the car, and we had to move the car off the frickin' curb. And the whole time, so now it's, don't steal my car, bro. What are you doing, man? What's going on? Why are you doing this? It's like, because you're on the curb, you idiot. Get the hell away from us, man. You know, but yeah, it's just yeah, it's life, man. You know, and it won't be for long as far as I'm concerned. I could get in on that, but I'm cutting the investment short. You know, and hopefully I'll be able to never have that problem again. Won't be my issue. It'll be somebody else's. And yeah, I don't think that more government's going to help the problem that the government's been causing. I just don't. I really don't. I don't think it'll work out. But you know, I don't know. It's just for fun though. We were talking about, you know, freedom and freedom is really what it's all about. And it's daylight savings day, so I was gonna drop this in there because basically what it's all about, it was to conserve energy when we were having wars during the World War I and World War II. You know, they were heating a lot of things on oil. You know, we're talking coal, we're talking fossil fuels, if you want to call them that. I actually could tell you that I have there's more theories on, you know, dead dinosaurs. Actually, we could probably get into that one day. But you know, energy. They just wanted to make sure that the factories weren't burning extra electricity for lights and things like that. They were just trying that, and it all kind of boils down to when we all decided that we weren't gonna act like humans anymore. We were all gonna like live on, you know, clocks and I guess chronometers or chronometers or whatever. It's all Greek to me, but it changed humanity. The invention of a simple thing as like a public clock. You know, public clocks, like, you know, large bell towers and stuff were put in, you know, factory towns to, you know, because again, they used to have to pay little kids to go door to door and wake people up for work and stuff like that. All right, sun's up, where are you? And it was really a weird situation. So now it's like, well, the bell tolled. It's like a church bell. You know what that means. Now it's a work bell, you know? So they replaced the church bell with the work bell, and they were ringing them both. And people started acting like Pavlovian dogs. It's really weird. And it's just an interesting thing to me. But a lot of it really, it did have to do with, yeah, conserving heat, again, too, because you don't have to burn fuel when you're asleep, typically. You know, you can huddle up in blankets, and, you know, people, you know, huddle up in piles, especially back in the day. And yeah, it wasn't like everybody had a 7-bedroom house just because they had 7 people in their family. But everything's changed a lot too. And yeah, so you can go through, it's, you know, a couple things, this wartime this and wartime that. A lot of people too, it really doesn't do us a favor as the people that are dealing with it, though. This is one of those things, in my opinion, it looks more like, you know, the oligarchy, the powers that be are treating their cattle to an extra hour of daylight. Isn't that special? Because it cuts down on operating costs or something. It's like, wow, I feel like a lab rat when I look into why we do daylight savings. I really do. It's a little weird, I gotta admit. But what are you gonna do? It's inconsistent too. There's no uniform time act. I mean, we didn't actually think about any of this kind of stuff until we started into the Industrial Revolution, though, is what I'm getting at. You know, before then, people did wake up when they, you know, felt like it. Typically, I mean, you had stuff to do. If you didn't do it, you'd die, basically. If you didn't take care of your animals, and they would be waking you up, more than likely. Depending on how the living situation was, too. Most people would have them on, like, a bottom floor of their house. So, you know, they're not up by the sun. Every one of their animals is screaming at them for food, so they're getting up. You know, things have changed. You know, we don't... and this is the thing. I don't, like, complain about the state and then take every bit I can get off of them. Like, I pay all the taxes to send my kids to school, and then I homeschool them anyway. I don't try to get out of it, you know. And I did, you know, well enough. My kids were in the 99th percentile, and then private schools are starting to come around, you know, offering scholarships for them. So it's like a thing you can do, you know. Raising your kids is totally the way to go. I don't treat them like factory workers or soldiers. I treat them like human beings, and it really does make a difference. I hate the fact that they even have access to tablets and stuff, you know. For a while there, we were getting into modern life, and we had Patient Zero. I'll get to that, absolutely. I'll get to that actually right after. I have a couple serious metal tracks too. It's going to be a little less of the Hendrix, a little more of the hell, but I will, yeah, absolutely. But I was just talking about, you know, actually raising your kids. It's an amazing thing. Like, it's foreign to people when I say that, or it's like almost insulting. I'm not trying to insult people, but literally spending all day with them and molding their personalities and hanging out with them and not letting the television mold their personalities and actually actively trying to fight that. When you see them acting like cartoon characters, you correct their behavior every time, kind of stuff. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard, you know. But yeah, I'm in New Hampshire. What are we talking? Seastead? But yeah, we got Ag Road. And we still have a couple awesome people. We got Patient Zero in the chat. We're going to be getting to a few other things. I don't know if Pensive is hanging around. If he is, you know, it's always awesome to see anybody from MSP. If you guys want to come on, too, if you're MSP and we don't have to do all the sound checks, you know, just, you know, let me know. Because I'm going to be spouting off philosophy, and I'm not going to be right all the time. Doesn't really matter to me. It's still, if I'm being honest, it's the best I can do. You know, but I just wanted to say, and I'm not preaching or I'm not saying like what I do, because again, the sacrifices aren't fun. You know, they're not super fun. I can honestly say that you have to cook all your food, for instance. There's a lot more work involved when you're not out doing, you know, the normal grind. It's just a different way to live, though, and it's not so bad because the skills you get are amazing. Like just being able to cook from scratch changes your life. And when you don't want your kids to be living on government cheese, you have to learn how to cook from scratch. You get a lot of old world skills or old, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, again, that starts pushing a guy like me on the conservative side of the scale, because I want to conserve humanity's you know, what makes us happy. I think that's what I'm trying to do. And when people start disconnecting from that, I get a little freaked out, you know. But, you know, I understand that everybody's going to grow their own food and make everything from scratch, but the more you can do, the better, because we're even finding out now, like plastics and things like that we thought were keeping our food safe are leaching in, and we're getting petroleum products in our steak. It's, like, not good. And even when you buy bread, vegan bread, guys, just so everybody knows, I hope I'm not going to ruin anyone's day, but if you think about it, you know how they harvest wheat, right? Giant threshers, massive machines. You're getting oil, you're getting gas, you're getting carbon products right in there, you know, and also, guess what? a lot of bugs live in wheat fields. A lot of rabbits and stuff. I'm just trying to not freak everybody out. But, dude, everybody should really start taking care of themselves if they want to live up to the values that we're trying. It's not easy. But, you know, that's my plan, too. I would love to have my own quails. Believe it or not, quails is something I'm totally into. I want some chickens. I want the whole thing. You know, I might get some goats, but I'll tell you what, it's just probably because it's funny when they pass out every time they get spooked. I don't know. The fainting goat syndrome is probably... I'll just make Steam It videos of that if that happens, though. So I might not do the goats because my blog will completely just be nothing but that. But, yeah, you're going to get extra protein in your factory-made bread, guys. And it isn't going to be vegan. I'm sorry I'm giggling. But now I'm glad. I was hoping we'd get some goats in the chat because, honestly, it's adorable. But, you know, that's probably why it's easier to eat bacon, though, because pigs to me are not that adorable. They're just gross. So, I mean, that's all happening, too. But, I don't know. I mean, this is what I brought up about daylight savings time. We are really, really far away from the way we used to live. And I'm not saying, you know, go be a caveman. I'm not saying that's a bad idea either. Believe it or not, I had that 23andMe genetic test, and this is going to come as a shock, guys. But I have a lot of dormant Neanderthal DNA. Oddly enough, a guy like me, you know, it was terribly shocking. But it was actually like a really high number. I'm like, oh well, it was like 266, and I think the record's like 300 and something. I'm like, oh well, maybe I should live in a cave. Maybe that is the problem, you know. So. Again, too, this is what I say about a lot of the lefty policies, too. They don't take into account that, like, guys like me are literally just half a step away from being a caveman, like, literally. And I got the proof now. So it's just, we're not all going to fit into the scheme. We're not all going to do the same thing. We're not all going to be interested in the same lifestyle. It just will not. I willingly sent my DNA to a centralized profit company. That's from Claiborne. Yeah, I did. And it came back that I was European. Yeah. It was really nothing surprising, but it's fun. You know, it's fun because honestly, my parents are idiots. I don't know if I've said that before. I talk about being a Christian, and I'll tell you, there's 10 commandments. The one I actually have a problem with is the silliest one. It's to honor thy mother and father because they're idiots. They were like weirdos. I don't know. They were like beatniks. I'm that guy who had beatnik parents that is just like, oh man, I'm not doing that shit. I'm gonna live a normal person life. I see what being raised by beatniks works out to be, so I'm not down. But yeah, it just actually is the only thing it turned out that my parents told me that was accurate and true was my family lineage and what do you call it? My ancestry, and it was kind of fun. You know, it's for the kids, too, because, you know, maybe what I was hoping, too, is like, oh, you're Romanian. It's like, oh, cool, I'm Latin now. Hooray. You know, but no, it's like, you went through Germany on your way to Ireland, and now you're here. Like, oh, well, there's that, too. You know, I'm sure, like, well, I'll probably end up buying my wife one, too. It's like, again, they can have my DNA. I'm pretty sure it's easy to get. I'm on file enough, and I'm doing podcasts spouting out my true opinions on things. So, you know, if they want to come after me, they'll probably have an easier time going through YouTube than 23andMe. But could be wrong. I guess we'll find out when the world is Gattaca, and I go to apply for a driver's license, and they go, due to your Neanderthal dormant genes, we don't want you on the road. But, I mean, this is where the identity politics is going. Like, we are literally at a point where a potential presidential candidate put out her DNA tests is Elizabeth Warren. And I'm from Boston, and what a joke. What a joke. So bad. So ridiculously bad. That woman, I knew she was exactly my lineage from looking at her. She came from the same neighborhood. We have the same features, the same everything. Same. Yeah, and... wow, what a liar. And the fact that she got the same, like, I'm not even joking. I looked at hers. It is exactly the same as mine. And I turn to my wife and I go, hey, honey, I guess I'm Native American now. I'll pick Apache. I like Apache knife fighters, so I'll pick Apache. That's where I'm. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I'm 1/1000th maybe ancestors with somebody that, when we were all living in the same tribe. So apparently, I don't know, just pick Sioux Nation. Why not? It's like, and that's what I'm saying about the lies, guys. They're lying so bad. You can't let them get away with that. It's just like, well, but I mean, people will say like Trump's lying, and I could go, well, he probably is. I'm not telling you that Trump's not a liar too. I'm not going to be sitting here slamming my chest for the neoconservatives anytime either. We've been running New Hampshire by the Sununu family my entire life. They've been around forever. For generations, they've been pretty much in charge of half of New Hampshire. The good half, too, the nice half. By the way, that's why I'm not completely picking on the neocons, because the Democrats have had the area that I live in, and it's covered in fucking dog shit. So, I don't know. Go to the Sununu ski area or come to Manchester. It's covered in crap. And people are ODing and driving up onto the curbs. It's super fun. So, yeah, the neoconservatives, though, if you want to know where their message is crafted, it's crafted up the street from my house, right up in the ski resorts up north in the tourist industry section of the state, And, well, I don't really want to say New Hampshire's the worst place in the world, but I certainly made the wrong decision of moving to the democratically run section of it, the lower half, the urban half, because it's just so bad. It's so bad. I don't know, man. I would much rather be like the Free State Project was a libertarian group that was trying to get an entire state, to be libertarian. We were going to concentrate our efforts and all this other stuff. All of them moved up north. Not a single one of them except me moved down here. I'm just sitting here like trying to vote against Democratic mayors all the time who just, well, we need 8 more cops on every corner. It's like, well, I would agree we need more cops, but the ones we have aren't doing their job. So maybe we just need one manager that's active, or maybe one, one agency inside of them that would police the police. I've heard of internal affairs. I don't know if they exist, but I've heard they do. You guys can tell me. But, yeah. So, sorry, Free State Project, but I'm out. You guys, try to keep the North fine, but the South is not going to be doing good. The southern half of the state is not going to be doing good. But, what is it like in Massachusetts? What is it like for a guy like me? Watching all this stuff. Well, we're getting pissed, man. I don't know. I don't know what else we're supposed to do. But this is how we hang out. I promised you some Shadows Fall last week. Yeah, so that's Shadows Fall. They were pretty big in the hardcore scene around here. And, I'll probably end up talking about music a lot more, when things settle down as far as everybody killing each other in the streets. I'll talk about everybody who kills each other in the dark, dank pits. That's where we belong anyway. So, Oh, I do love me some All Cell Parish and Chimera, too. I don't have any of that lined up, Truth Force, but I can definitely have anything going for that, too. If you guys want to make some requests, I'm all about it. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to talk, Patient Zero was asking about Albert Pike earlier, and he was a very prominent Mason. He was hugely powerful, and he was in the Scottish Reich. We have different groups after you become a master of the Blue Lodge. When you become a master of the Blue Lodge, though, that's basically when they say, okay, well, we're Luciferian. We have God as an architect. We have this template for all the other religions. It's not that you have to give up your old religion or anything like that. But hopefully Patient Zero is around still to see if he's hanging out. But what he's talking about, too, is the pure Luciferian aspects, like the actual, like, they feel like it's a good thing, guys. It's not the same as Satanism necessarily. It's probably the other side of the same coin. I'm not going to argue that. But honestly, they feel like he was just misrepresented. That's what they feel. They feel like the people that run the Catholic Church are the powerful, and that they are standing up against the powerful. They feel like they're rebelling against the status quo when they say Lucifer was a good guy. He was the one that brought us warmth and technology. He's the one that encouraged Cain to become a hunter rather than sitting around milking goats, And always comes back to goats, I'm telling you, man, But it boils down to them saying they're the children of fire, whereas Seth, who was the one that was born after Abel died, he was the child of water. So his descendants are a separate a separate line all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And what they're saying is those people have run the world for too long and they're corrupt. So the children of fire are going to rise up and take over, and they're going to basically make the world into a Star Trek sort of utopia. And that's the weird part, guys. They want to bring about some weird utopian existence where, well, I don't know, a lot of people are sort of stuffed under the rug or gone. But they believe that they can end all of world suffering if everyone just becomes like them. It's just like every other religion. It's sort of just like any other thing out there. Well, if everyone agreed with me, we'd be fine. But when they go to when they die, when a Luciferian dies, guys, just so you know, they don't think they're going to hell. They do believe that they're going to go to heaven. They believe that Jesus stands at the right hand of God on a throne, and that Lucifer is the other creation of his, stands at the left hand, and they're both bathed in light, and there are all these funny things and all these other wonderful things. They believe the light itself is a gift from Lucifer. They don't believe that it's, fire and brimstone. They really are a little weird like that. And, for me, I heard all this stuff, and it's sort of like I said, I compare it to Scientology. I really do, because you get it in levels. And my problem was, I suppose, is they have a minimum amount of time between levels. It's, I think, 3 months. And most people take about a year or 2 years to memorize all the passages and learn all the weird rituals and know what they're going to do to pass the test, because you have to pass tests. You have, I don't know. You got to, basically, I'll probably dig the book out for you guys one time, and I'll just read you what I had to memorize. And the way I got around waiting the year or 2 years is I just started tutoring other Freemasons that were learning. So I just taught them out of the book. So while I was learning myself all the memorization, I was teaching other people, and in different lodges too. I was in the Lafayette Lodge, which is the French general that came over during the Revolution to help us out. But we had Washington Lodge as well. And we did different things, and we had different ideas on a couple of other things. So when you get to the first level, it's like, okay, well, this is a little weird. And then you get to the second level, it's like, all right, well, now it's very strange. And then you get to the third level, it's like, oh, so you're Luciferians. Well, that's weird, I didn't read that in a Dan Brown book. I came here looking like for Tom Hanks, and I found out Colonel Sanders was a Satanist. It's like, wow, that's a weird thing. It's like, I didn't. And again, too, we do have a list of famous Masons that have visited the hall, and when you see the actual Colonel Sanders is on there, it's like, oh, the chicken guy? Weird. How he does chicken wrong. But it is strange as hell. So you have options, though. Once you become, so you can go a couple of different ways. And I'm really trying to say, they don't think they're evil. They're not out to make the world a worse place. They're just like everybody else who's ideologically driven and wants to force everybody into their way of life. Just like everybody else who's in power hungry, mad with it. It doesn't matter what side you're on or if you're a religious authority. It's just authority itself makes you into a weirdo, in my opinion. So I had to make a choice, though. Now, I could have gone with the Washington Lodge again, too. I wasn't about to really change, but it was an option I could have had. Because, again, I was friends with all of them because I taught them all how to be Masons. So they're nice to me, Yeah, you don't get to the Illuminati until you're after the Masons, though. Once you're a master of the Blue Lodge, though, you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to join the Shriners. And those guys with the little funny hats with the little the fez hats, the little red ones. Those are the Shriners, and they're the Shrine of Solomon. They claim they have prominence all the way back to when David founded Israel, and they built the temples and stuff like that. They're the ones that protected the shrines, though. They're soldiers. The Shriners are soldiers. That's what their deal is. And it's funny, you don't really see it a lot, and they don't say it a lot, but you've actually, I think it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, with the one with Sean Connery. The people that are attacking him in the boat scene, those are Shriners. Those are real people, oddly enough. I'm not going to say that they're actually protecting the cup of Christ that he used at the Last Supper, But that's sort of the idea where they got that from, where Indiana Jones was attacked by these random people who, eventually they found out he was a good guy and let him go because he wasn't evil. But they think they're protecting these artifacts. They think they're protecting the shrine. And again, if you look at history, lots of temples have been burned, guys. Just throwing it out there. So there are a lot of people out there that are willing to do that. And the Shriners are also the guys that have those little go-karts, and they drink a lot of beer, and they play ping pong, and it's like a stag party kind of thing. It's when you see the Flintstones and they're the Grand Poobahs playing pool and everybody's kissing his ass, or they're bowling together or something like that. That's sort of the Shriners. It's kind of what they do, and that's nothing wrong with that because they do actual charity too, guys. And it's kind of weird, but of course they picked burn victims. Of all things, these people who literally worship fire on a regular basis, who think that it's the greatest thing, it's like the bringer of all light and everything else. They invented basic skin grafting. They took science from Dr. Mengele, which is great if you know who that guy is. I'm telling you, this is it's a hell of a story if you get the pun. But yeah, they do help kids. The Shriners hospitals are amazing. So when I was in the Freemasons, guys, it was for charity. My dues went to pay for kids to recover from burns. You know what I mean? They did some weird stuff. I'm not gonna get into all the details, but exactly, the stone cutters, But it belongs in a museum, is what I say. Everything belongs in a museum, and I guess the museum's owned by the government. I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know. It's one of those things. These private libraries and these weird temples, they do need to be preserved because the state really will just screw it all up. I mean, I would hate it if the government went and raided the local temple on Elm Street down here and took all of Ben Franklin's artifacts and put them in the Smithsonian basement just because, it just suck because I was really thrilled to be playing with his stuff, and believe it or not, there's some fun stuff. I wanted to know for sure if any of this stuff was real. You see stuff on National Treasure. Ben Franklin invented 3D glasses, and he has all these spectacles with multiple colors and things that slide up and down so you can get different angles. And it's yeah, that sounds like bullshit. But then you go to a Freemason hall and they have them. And they're signed by him. It's his stuff. They have it. And it could be getting thrown away or put in a box or, again, I keep talking about Jones here. It's we'll put him in that warehouse with all the boxes, floor to ceiling, fucking all the way back, and top men will be on top of making sure that everybody preserves Ben Franklin's glasses. Or I could put them on myself and look at his art. And he actually was creating three-dimensional images in the 1800s. It's insane. The dude was a genius. But I don't know, with me, I didn't really want to go with the Shriners. They make a pact to protect all religions equally. And I don't know, man. It's just I don't even understand all the religions. I didn't like the idea of swearing oaths that I didn't completely understand or I couldn't back up. And at the time, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But in my lodge, there was another way to go. It was the Knights Templar. All right, now that's probably sounds just as dumb as the rest of the stuff I'm saying. Yes, there's a bunch of knights that sit around at night, in the middle of the night, doing rituals in this town. Yes, there are. I met them. They have an armory in the attic of the temple, and they still have swords from the Revolutionary War. It's weird. It's funny, too. It's strange, because some of the swords, too, are, stamped with Sears and Roebuck or something like that, because they were handmade by those two guys or something. So it's this is weird. But, I looked at the oaths, and I can read you a couple of Knight Templar oaths just because it's open lodge stuff. Now, you have to actually go through the levels, and another name of these guys is the Yorkshire Rite. It's more of an English Freemasonry. They are from basically the Middle East. They come from the Rosencross, the Rosicrucianers, the Knights Hospitaller. They did pretty much invent banking in the sense that people don't hate this part of banking. They're the ones that, you can put something into the bank here in England, and then you can go on your pilgrimage, and we have another temple set up in the Holy Land, and you can withdraw your funds. You don't have to worry about carrying all your stuff across this pilgrimage. You have to walk. So they set up a lot of those things, and they weren't the worst people. They did set up hospitals. Again, not to really, they weren't like medical research facilities. They were places where soldiers died, mainly. But yeah, it was better than dying in the gutter. So, you know, we're talking charity from 1,000 years ago isn't the same as it is now. But okay. So the oaths, the first oath, and these again, I'm not 100% sure if they make you disavow Lucifer, but these are Luciferians who swear these oaths. And number one is the temple and service thereof. Remember, brothers, that we are descendants of the poor fellow soldiers of Christ, who first held their meetings in the precincts of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. We must contemplate the word and meaning of the temple. Remember also that we are but rough stones and must continually work to build our own temple with the smooth stones within us. And yeah, Freemasons do have a lot of rock metaphors. Oddly enough. They talk about that stuff a lot, you know, and it goes on and on now. So I'll read you number two. These are open lodge oaths, too. I can read you from the closed lodge stuff, and I'm not doing that right now. I just wanted to let you guys know where I was at in the Freemasons, because, again, I only joined up because I wanted to know the truth for myself. So if you really want to know what's going on down the street, you really should just try to figure out a way in. You know, if you don't know a Mason, well, you can't get in the club, but be nice to a Mason if you really want to. I don't know, you know. Again, it's just, I can tell you why I got in, but I had a grand, most worshipful master in the family, so it wasn't really hard for me. But the number two is the love of meditation. Recognize with gladness that we are neither lost nor strangers to God, but one of his good creatures, and in our temple we shall meet people from many nations and religions. There is no shame in seeking God. Forget not when we ponder that God's temple is our own being. God will not look for us, but we must seek him. Each day time must be put aside for meditation and prayers for our order and its work. So this is some hippie bullshit to me. You know, like, I'm betting you probably didn't think the Knights Templars were into that shit. You know, didn't stop me from wanting to listen to metal and being an asshole. I'll tell you that. You know, meditation really doesn't work all that great for me, but maybe one day, maybe I could start eating more soy. You never know. It could help. But number three is about discipline, and says the principles of St. Bernard of Clairvaux's life are still valid today. I don't know what that means because I'm not a Knights Templar. We must care for our mind, body, and soul, work happily, but with humanity, and at all times honor your fellow man. Care not for worldly goods, you know. But then we get into the fun one. It's number four, knightly combat. Our white garments decorated with the blood-red cross reminds each of us that we must be capable of making sacrifices. Do not strive for worldly wealth. Perhaps tomorrow we might have to give account for ourselves. We shall not know until it is too late, though, for excuses are not acceptable to the greatest being, Almighty God. You know, this is some weird stuff. It is weird stuff, and it kind of did appeal to me at the time, because it's like, you know, I don't know, when I look around at this life, and it's why I probably don't get along with too many communists, because every single time I talk to them, they try to assert that we're animals and there's nothing in the afterlife, and we, you know, have to, they just, one assertion after the other that basically I just completely reject, because it's just, they're putting faith into it, you know, they're putting faith into philosophy rather than into ancient wisdom, which is fine if they think that, you know, all the greatest ideas we came up with in the 1950s, fine. But I mean, you know, we got 5,000 years of good ideas to check out, in my opinion. So we could dig a little deeper. But I'll just read, you know, just the last one. It's just number 5. It's about brotherhood. And again, this is a fraternity, you know. So you guys, if you want to make fun of me for anything, you can make fun of me for being a frat boy. Because that's what this stuff is, you know. But number 5 is about brotherhood. And it says, each day we must help our brethren for whom we are responsible. For one day God will say, where is thy brother? Accept no reward. Always be the pillar of the temple, for all the order holds us in the opportunity to flee the sins of the world, to live charitably, to be penitent, and above all else, be a servant to Almighty God instead. So yeah, don't run away, you know. But as true Templars, we must always be prepared for battle in either temporal or spiritual realms. Our oaths require moral courage in the way of life demands, dedication to our knightly ideals and whatnot, and so forth. The true knight is, of course, humble before the Lord and his fellow man. If a true Templar would boast about anything, he boasts in our Lord. So yeah, God is great, yo. Word up. And I don't know, guys. I'm sure this sounds really silly. And it kind of is silly. But there really is evil in the world. I know this. I see it all the time. It does exist. And, you know, if you're not vigilant against evil, guys, it really can sneak up on you and bite you in the ass. Surprise the hell out of you if you're not paying attention. So I would say don't ignore it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. So yeah, that's our update from World News. That was Tomas from Sweden. He's reporting on how life is going there. And it's always good to get an update from across the pond, you know. But yeah, no, that's At the Gates. That's Nausea. And yeah, it comes from Slaughter of the Soul. So yeah, it's a family-friendly album if you like slaughtering souls. It's a good time. But I absolutely love those guys. And one of the first bands I ever started listening to, and you know, a lot of people got into punk music at the time, and that was sort of my version of punk. We called it thrash. I don't know what the hell anyone wants to call it anymore. It doesn't really matter to me because you know, it didn't have the melody of most Swedish music. You know, I play a lot of In Flames, and I have a bunch more, tons more, and get into it. I actually set up a ton of music for this episode, and apparently, I'm just looking at the time. It's almost 9 o'clock now, so probably just gonna play a couple more tracks. And you know, I didn't want to play just screechy metal and stuff like that. You know, I wanted to show Devin Townsend. We got stuff from Sweden. We had a couple of things from England. We have a couple American bands, but this is a great band from Canada, and I didn't really give them I played it out yesterday, but I wanted to give them a full track, and because Devin Townsend is just the man, and Kingdom is probably one of the best things he's ever done. It's pretty metal, so it exists. So yeah, we got some good stuff in the chat. You know, I love this chat, guys. I can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out with me tonight. You know, I planned so much for tonight too. I'm so shocked at the time. We really don't have any more, except maybe enough time for one more song. I have like 4. So you know, real quick, I'll ask everybody if they want me to do something really evil or do something really goofy, and I'll leave it at that in the next couple of minutes. But you know, this was a blast, and I hope, again, you know, I think we did pretty good. I think everybody was able to speak their mind, and you know, I'm glad everybody was able to hang out and have fun. So, you know, and then when it comes to evil, guys, I study it like I can't. It's beyond a hobby at this point in my life. I just can't not look at it. It's one of those things. I'm just trying not to get burned by staring into hell so often. But yeah. So you guys, if you want to, I got some evil stuff. Do you want to hear some evil stuff at the end of this? Do you guys want to go out on a goofy note? What do you think? Get some things from the audience. What about you, Aggro? Do you want to hear something a little mean? Who's feeling mean? We'll do some normal stuff. Okay, that's probably good. Yeah, we'll save that for another time when it's more appropriate anyway, you know, because I had a whole lead-in to explain why I was playing it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be back here same time next week, next Saturday. If you guys want to hang out with me and Truth Force and Patient Zero, we're going to be over on Decentralized News right after this. I'm going to click a couple buttons, and we'll be broadcasting out of there. It's a different. We're going to be talking a lot more about Steam, I think, tonight, and a lot about what's going on with curation and things like that. So it really does apply. We could use some help talking about curation too, guys. So, you know, interactive and stuff. But of course, we record it. So, you know, if anything's going on in MSP, we're not stepping on toes. You know, we all want to be friends out here. It's fantastic that everybody is willing to just hang out and be cool, and we can get more conversations like this going. I'm going to keep going with this stuff. I mean, next week is going to be different. I might be playing a lot of Viking music. Depends how the elections shake out. But you know, I always send my ad everyone's there too, so you guys are always more than welcome. And yeah, we're going to play some Jane's Addiction. just gonna go out on the high note. It's just some fun, you know. And I keep talking about the call of the mountains, guys. So in my head, I'm already there. Peace and quiet and love for everybody. This peace, abundance, and liberty is a real thing for me too. I love this place. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next week.